10 famous legends that actually have rational explanations. Over the course of our extensive history on Earth, mankind has passed on stories that have lived on to this day. Whether they've been tales of courageous men that have come and gone, or mythical creatures that were said to have roamed the planet, we have observed the extent of the human imagination and the power of storytelling. In fact, there are probably all sorts of things you didn't know about the world. Today, we explore 11 famous legends that have rational explanations, from the Bible to giants, to all sorts of historical events. This video's got it all. Whether we choose to believe it or not is our own individual prerogative, though there are certain things that could be harder to argue than others. It's only natural to be skeptical, since we can't precisely determine the validity of the tales from our rich and interminable history. There are certain happenings in the past that actually have rational and convincing explanations, backed by science, historians, and archaeologists, among other credible sources. Before we begin this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more daily tips like this and turn on notifications so you never miss our new videos. Now, keep watching for the most famous legends from our fascinating past that leave us wondering and intrigued. Number 10. The Great Flood. Scientists believe that the myth of the Great Flood is traced to memories of a massive flood that took place in Mesopotamia. Upon excavating the tomb of Ur in the previous century, archaeologists found a layer of clay that seemingly split two cultures. According to Wikipedia, it is believed that a catastrophic flood in the rivers Tigris and Euphrates led to this phenomenon. Other data suggest that an extravagant flood took place on the coast of the Black Sea, around 15,000 years ago. Scientists confirmed this is in West Siberia territory when they found seashells. The Black Sea is the closest body of water. The flood was said to have had such great strength that it produced a waterfall of 40 cubic kilometers a day, which is 200 times more than the volume of water that goes through Niagara Falls. This evidence may dismiss the skepticism of exaggeration by the ancient people. Number 9. Giants. Up until today, people in Ireland still tell stories of colossal humans that walked the planet, who were able to create islands just by throwing a handful of sand into the water. A professor of endocrinology, Marta Corbonitz, believes that these ancient stories may have historical grounds. According to scientists, people in Ireland have mutations in the AIP gene, which are the reason for acromegaly and gigantism. In Mid-Ulster, a region in Ireland, 1 in 150 people are found to have this mutation. Charles Byer, who was over 7.5 feet tall, is one of the more renowned Irish giants who lived in the 1700s. However, contrary to the belief giants were strong, in fact, they weren't, as many people who suffer from gigantism experience cardiovascular diseases, as well as joint pains and vision problems, and don't live past the age of 30 if improperly treated. Do you want to know the rational explanation behind one of the biggest legends in all of history, the Path of Moses? Well, keep watching until the very end to find out. You'll be surprised at some of the things that you didn't know. Number 8. Werewolves. When it comes to werewolves, the origins of these legends have a few possibilities. Humans have long been connected with forests, and it is said that people of the past who wanted to be stronger had chosen a spirit animal and wore its skin. Warriors of the past were said to have taken drug potions before their battles, imagining they were invincible wolves. Though this is a legend, there is a genetic condition known as hypertrichosis that may add credibility to the belief of werewolves. This condition was previously called the werewolf syndrome, as it is the abnormal amount of hair growth over the face and body. Additionally, there is a psychological disorder known as lycanthropy, which is a delusion that an individual can morph into an animalistic being. This condition is said to actually have become stronger during different lunar phases. Keep watching, as we continue to count down the most famous legends that exist, and all of their rational explanations. Number 7. Vampires. The legend of vampires can be traced to human suffering from a rare genetic disorder known as porphyria, which includes some of the common characteristics we have known vampires to have. This particular disease found in humans causes a pigment imbalance, which leads to hemoglobin decaying due to the ultraviolet rays. Additionally, those who suffer from porphyria suffer from the sunlight and are only comfortable to go out in nighttime. For the more severe cases, people experience a tendon deformity and dryness of their lips and gums. Their incisors become a shade of red, appearing much like vampires, and even experiencing a sensitivity to garlic. Number 6. Dragons. In Mongolia, the correlation between bones and dinosaurs was explored. The word dragon for them has different geographical names, and it is said that in their Gobi Desert, anyone can find the bones of dinosaurs. There are still so many there that illegal excavations occur frequently. The reason some people imagine dragons to be much like reptiles with claws and scales is that the skeletons look much like that of modern lizards, crocodiles, and snakes. Lizards and snakes can even sometimes be born with 2 heads instead of 1, much like some of the imaginary dragons that have been depicted. Number 5. Centaurs. Since the 2nd millennium BC, images of centaurs already surfaced. It's presumed that they appeared in Greece as fantasy by those who weren't aware of horse riding. Northern nomadic tribes, such as the Scythians and the Kassites, could have been mistaken for centaurs. Historical figure Pliny the Elder of the 1st century AD had written that he'd seen a centaur with his own eyes. Preserved in honey, it was gifted from Egypt as a gift for the emperor. And they were believed to be a result of genetic experiments by Egyptian priests. Though it isn't evident in the modern day, scientists managed to create a human pig, so perhaps there's some validity. Number 4. The Labyrinth of the Minotaur. Greek legends suggest that there was a giant labyrinth under the palace of King Minos. There rested a dangerous monster known as a Minotaur. It was believed to be so bloodthirsty that it would shake the earth with its roar. The island of Crete, where it's said that the monster lived, is widely known for its unsure seismic activity. Situated on 2 plates, the island experiences a geological phenomenon called subduction and is at great risk for earthquakes. Due to its geographical positioning, the African plate that presses on the Nubian plate pushes the island to the surface. Over the course of history, the island of Crete has withstood such lifts, some of which rose up to 22 feet. Furthermore, justifying the belief that there was an angry monster living underground. Number 3. Cyclopses. According to ancient Greek mythology, Cyclopses were godly creatures, or even just people. Polyphemus, who was the son of Poseidon, was the most famous, for example. It is believed that Odysseus had taken the only eye he had. Additionally, a tribe of one-eyed people known as the Arimaspi was situated in northern Scythia. As for scientific evidence, an Australian paleobiologist by the name of Othniel Abel explored the idea that ancient people found skulls of dwarf elephants, which then led to the myth about Cyclopses due to the hole in the center of the skulls that could have been mistaken for a giant eye socket. Furthermore, these particular elephants were only found in Cyprus, Malta, and Crete in the Greek region. Number 2. Sodom and Gomorrah. Though it's a myth that Sodom and Gomorrah represented sinful cities, it has now been proven to be a historical fact. A decade ago, the ancient Jordanian city of Tell el-Haman was excavated, and archaeologists are certain to have found Sodom. As per the Bible, Sodom was near the Jordan River. Scientists found a major ancient settlement surrounded by a big wall, and according to researchers, people did live here. Known to be an enormous legendary mythical sea creature, the first depiction of this huge squid was written by Eric Pontoppidan, claiming that Kraken was the size of an island. He believed that this creature could grab a huge ship with its tentacles, with the ability to drag it to the bottom of the sea. It could also produce a dangerous whirlpool, leaving the death of a ship imminent. This could be traced to the fact that huge squids still exist on the planet, stretching as big as 52 meters long, containing teeth and claws on their tentacles. They scare people away at first sight, so you can imagine how sailors of the past must have reacted. Number 1. Unicorns. Humans have long imagined a unicorn to be a creature containing a rainbow horn on its forehead. Different countries have information about unicorns in their myths and legends, and the first pictures were found in India over 4,000 years ago. When it spread to Rome, people thought unicorns to be real animals. A unicorn-looking rhino, known as an elasmotherium, lived in Eurasia during the Ice Age, who looked much like horses with a long horn on its forehead. Though this particular species became extinct, researcher Willie Ley argues that some of this species may have existed for a while longer, which is why legends of them still exist. And now, here is the rational explanation behind one of the most famous legends in all of history, the Path of Moses. One of the more renowned stories of the Bible is when Moses parted the sea, leading his people through to walk through its path. Very few people today are aware that this phenomenon can be seen in North Korea, close to the Hindu island, where the water between the islands parts for a whole hour. This opens a long, wide road where thousands of tourists can walk through and observe the sea animals, much like Moses and his people were said to have done. Scientists say this isn't, in fact, a miracle, as it happens due to the differences of times of ebbs and flows. The path of Moses led from the continent to the island, much like we see in this body of water. When investigating legends, it's important to consider supporting evidence that has come a long way. Despite what we choose to believe as myth or truth, there are certain aspects that can make it quite difficult to deny. Ultimately, it's our own choice to accept it as a fact or a fiction. So, did you find out some things you didn't know in this video? What legends are out there that weren't in this video that you'd be interested in? Let us know in the comment section below. Enjoyed this video? Hit the like button and share with your friends. Also, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.